Welcome to the Digital Revolution podcast. I'm your host, Jim Kunkel, and in this series, we'll explore the fascinating world of digital business transformation. Each episode will dive deep into the latest trends, strategies, and success stories from industry leaders who have successfully navigated the digital landscape for business. From adopting cutting-edge technologies to leveraging data analytics and artificial intelligence, we'll uncover the secrets behind transforming traditional businesses into digital powerhouses. Whether you're a business owner, executive, or simply curious about the future of digital business, this vodcast is for you. Join in on the interviews with experts from various industries and discuss topics such as security best practices, innovation in software development, process automation, AI-powered transformation, and industry-specific digital adoption strategies. Together, we'll unlock the potential of digital transformation and help you stay ahead of today's rapidly evolving landscape. So please subscribe to the Digital Revolution channel and get ready to embark on an exciting journey into the world of digital business transformation. If you would be so kind to subscribe, you'll never miss an episode of the Digital Revolution. The idea of computer chip implants in the brain may seem futuristic to some, but this development could be widely available in years to come. At this early stage of development, Americans are generally negative towards the idea of widespread use of computer chip implants into the brain to enhance cognitive function, and few say they would want this for themselves. Devices that interface with the neural system are currently in use and development only for those with therapeutic needs. For instance, cochlear implants are used to provide people with hearing difficulties, and some patients with Parkinson's disease have devices implanted into their brain to send electrical pulses that control tremors and improve motor skills. Now, medical researchers and device developers aim to use brain chip implants to help people with paralysis. Researchers at Ohio State University and Battelle Memorial Institute have used brain implants to help restore hand movement and a sense of touch in patients with severe spinal cord injuries. And a brain implant was recently used to translate the thoughts of a patient with a severe spinal cord injury into text with a very high degree of accuracy. One future use of brain chip implants could be to augment the brain functioning for people even without therapeutic needs. During the remainder of this episode, I'll be focusing on a recent survey that was conducted by Pew Research on the topic of artificial intelligence brain implants. Now, Pew Research found that by 56% to 13%, far more U.S. adults say that widespread use of computer chip implants in the brain to more quickly and accurately process information would be a bad idea, and then a good idea for society. 31% say they are not sure and that this would be a good or bad idea for society. Americans express limited desire for a computer chip brain implant for themselves. 78% say they would not want a computer chip implant that would allow them to better process information if it were available to them. Just 20% say they would want this. A previous 2016 Pew Research survey found the idea of using brain chip implants to enhance cognitive function using a similar, though not identical, description. 7 years ago, most Americans were also largely wary of this possibility. 2/3 thought that they would not want a surgically implanted brain chip for a much improved ability to concentrate and process information. And more Americans said that they were at least somewhat worried about the possibility and said they were enthusiastic about the idea. Even so, the new Pew Research survey finds 6 in 10 U.S. adults think that if brain chip use became widespread, most people would feel pressure to get an implant. A smaller share, 38%, think that most people would not feel pressure to get this. One factor in these negative reactions is that most Americans are skeptical that widespread use of brain chips would improve people's judgments and decision making. Just 24% say the widespread use of brain chip implants to improve cognitive function would make people's decision making better. And a much larger share say that it would either make people's judgment and decision making worse, 31%, or that it would be about the same as now, 42%. Limited enthusiasm for the widespread use of brain chip implants can be seen across demographic groups, with small shares saying this would be a good idea for society. Men are somewhat more favorable about this idea than women, and among women, 61% say computer chip implants in the brain would be a bad idea for society, while just 6% say it would be a good idea. The balance of opinion tilts in the same direction among men, but by a somewhat narrow margin. 50% see it as a bad idea versus 20% as a good idea. Just 5% of Americans say they have heard a lot, and 32% a little about this idea. This group leans strongly to the viewpoint that this would be a bad rather than a good idea for society, 55% to 19%. Another quarter of this group say they're not real sure. Now, religion also plays a role in views about this idea. People with a high level of religious commitment, and this is based on a 3-item index of religious importance, frequency of religious service attendees, and frequency of prayer, say that widespread use of computer chip implants in the brain would be a bad idea for society by an overwhelming margin, 68 to 7%. By comparison, 44% of those low in religious commitment say this would be a bad idea for society, while 20% say it would be a good idea, and 35% say they're not sure. Now, differences are also seen in the degree to which men and women, those more or less familiar with this idea, and those with higher and lower levels of religious commitment, think about whether this is something they would want. Still, no more than a third of Americans in any of these groups say that they would want a brain chip implant for this purpose themselves if it were available. And the youngest and the oldest adults are about equally likely to say they would want a brain chip implant after controlling for factors as religious commitment, education, and gender. Similar patterns of gender, familiarity, and religious commitment are also seen in views of the other two types of human enhancement in the Pew Research Survey, which presented questions of using gene editing for babies to enhance health, plus with the potential use of robotic exoskeletons with built-in artificial intelligence systems to enhance physical strength. There is a long history of efforts to develop tools and techniques that could improve human abilities. When asked which statement better describes their views about the widespread use of brain chips, implants, to more quickly and accurately process information, 63% of Americans say the idea is meddling with nature and crosses a line that we should not cross. Far fewer, 35%, say that as humans, we're always trying to better ourselves, and this is no difference. However, there is a sizable difference in views on this question by religious commitment and across religious groups. An overwhelming majority of highly religious Americans say the widespread use of computer chip implants is meddling with nature. Those with low religious commitment are closely divided. Half say brain chips are meddling with nature, while 49% say brain chips for improving cognitive function are no different than other efforts to improve ourselves. A large majority of evangelical Protestants, nearly 80%, think the widespread use of computer chip implants would be meddling with nature and crossing a line that we should not cross. By contrast, 61% of atheists and 55% of agnostics say that widespread use of computer chip implants would reflect instead that we're always trying to better ourselves, and this idea is no different. Asked to think about the possible societal impacts from widespread use of brain chips for improved cognitive function, the public sees both pros and cons. However, on balance, potential negative impacts resonate more strongly with the public than positive ones. About 8 in 10 U.S. adults say computer chip implants in the brain would definitely or probably be used before we fully understand how they affect people's health. Just 20% say they would definitely or probably not happen, And in the 2016 Pew Research Survey, using similar though not identical wording, it found that similar share of 74% saying that it was likely that implanted devices in the brain would be used before we fully understand the effects. The most recent survey finds a large majority, 70%, also view it as likely that the widespread use of computer chip implants in the brain to improve cognitive function would go too far in eliminating natural differences between people. On the positive side, 62% think the widespread use of brain chips would definitely or probably make people more productive in their jobs, and 59% say they would likely lead to new innovation and problem solving in society. Still, these majorities are smaller than the shares who see either negative impact as likely to happen. About few, and that would be a 1 in 10, say that either of these positive impacts would definitely happen. On balance, Americans expect that widespread use of brain chips would have a negative impact on the issue of economic inequality. Overall, 57% say that the widespread use of computer chip implants in the brain to improve cognitive function would increase the gap between higher and lower income Americans, while just 10% think it would decrease the gap. 3 in 10 say that the use of computer chip implants in the brain would not affect economic inequality much. When asked to consider 3 potential problems with computer chip implants, majorities say hackers gaining access to people's information, unwanted changes to the brain, and chip malfunctions are issues that would happen at least some of the time. Overall, 52% say hackers gaining access to people's information would happen a lot of the time if chip implants in the brain were widely used. Another 39% say this would occur some of the time, and comparable shares say unwanted changes to the brain would happen a lot, and that's 51% feel that way, or some 41% of the time. A large majority also say computer chip malfunctions would happen at least some of the time, though fewer than half say this would happen a lot. In all 3 instances, a very small share say these potential problems would happen rarely or never. Brain chip implants are currently used in the development for a variety of purposes apart from their potential use to enhance how people process information. Now, the Pew survey found a broad support for the use of brain chip implants for only therapeutic actions. A large share of Americans, 77%, say they would favor the use of computer implants in the brain to allow increased movement or for people who are paralyzed. Just 8% would oppose this use, while 14% were not sure. And a majority would also support the use of brain chip implants to treat age-related decline in mental abilities. Americans are far less supportive of other uses of these devices. If there is no clear therapeutic benefit. About as many would favor using computer chip implants in the brain to translate thoughts into text. And they say also a larger share say they would oppose than favor using computer chip implants to make it possible for thoughts in the brain to search content on the internet without typing. Roughly about 30% say they're not sure about their views on the possibility. Now, that's all we have time for. Thank you very much in tuning into this week's episode. And I hope that you found this episode's information insightful and you gained valuable knowledge. Now, remember that the digital transformation is the key to unlocking the potential of data in business and much, much more. Join me next time as I continue our exploration of digital transformation and dive deeper into topics such as security best practices, innovation in software design and development, process automation, artificial intelligence-powered transformations, and industry-specific digital adoption strategies. Don't forget to subscribe to the Digital Revolution channel to stay updated on the latest episodes. And I appreciate your support of the revolution, and I look forward to bringing you more exciting content. Next week's live episode recording session will be on the topic of digital sustainability, the green technology revolution. I greatly appreciate you joining me on this episode's live recording and supporting the content produced under Digital Revolution banner. Coming up at the top of the hour, I'll be recording the audio chat podcast for the digital revolution on the topic of what is digital citizenship. So I hope that you also join me on LinkedIn Audio to record this audio session. Okay, thank you, and please have a great evening, afternoon, morning, no matter where in the world you're watching this stream.